Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take the church to church. I'm really sick and damn tired of some of these folks. Now, I subscribe to a Christian faith background. I believe in a radical Messiah of color. These individuals I'm about to highlight, they believe in the white Jesus, Donald Trump. That's who they believe in. I'm talking about the Southern Baptist Convention. So let me give you some background here. There's a guy named Russell Moore. Russell Moore was a member of the Southern Baptist Convention. As a matter of fact, he was president of their ethics wing of the denomination. I know that's quite laughable, but it's the truth. He was the president of the ethics wing. Now, this guy came out and said, hey, this church has corruption, sexual abuse cover-ups, and extreme racism. That's what he came out and said. He exposed it, leaked some audio, came out with a letter. And there's a dude running for the president of the Southern Baptist Convention out of Georgia. And his name is Mike Stone. Here's his response to the allegations of sexual abuse and racism being covered up inside of the church.
As a victim of childhood sexual abuse, I find the latest attack from Russell Moore to be absolutely slanderous, and it is as inflammatory as it is inaccurate. I'm Mike Stone, and I'm the pastor of the Emmanuel Baptist Church in Blackshear, Georgia, and I want to apologize for interrupting your Saturday. But I'm here on my back porch, unscripted and unprompted, just me and the camera on my phone, because I have to stop and address an issue facing me personally and more broadly facing the Southern Baptist Convention. I'm going to be relatively brief today because I really need to be up at the church helping our church family finish setting up for decorations for day camp next week. I've got to put the finishing touches on my own sermon. You pastors know what that's like on a Saturday. And I promised my sons I would try to take them fishing this afternoon, and I want to get all of that in today. But the slanderous accusations that Russell has leveraged now through the second backdoor press release this week really require that I stop and address these issues.
You piece of garbage. We're actually talking about children being abused. We're talking about sexual assaults and sexual abuse inside of your denomination. We're talking about extreme racism to the point that white nationalists who are members of your church have threatened to kill and to harm the white male, Russell Moore, who came out to expose it. Let me read this from The Atlantic. But confronting sexual abuse wasn't the only issue dividing Moore from the SBC, Southern Baptist Convention Executive Committee. The other absolutely draining and unrelenting issue has been that of racial reconciliation, Moore wrote. My family and I have faced constant threats from white nationalists and white supremacists, including within our convention. Some of them have been involved in neo-Confederate activities going back for years. This is the largest Protestant denomination in the United States of America, the Southern Baptist Convention. This preacher who's running for president also said there's nothing they can do to address the issues of sexual abuse and racism because they do not control their member churches with a hard fist. However, they suspended and decided to eradicate from their membership churches that had the audacity to actually embrace members of the LGBTQ community. So let me get this right. As far as churches engaging in sexual assault or sexual abuse, all good, no problem, nothing you can do about that. Churches that engage in extreme racism, not really a Christian thing to get involved in. But churches that embrace the LGBTQ community, you don't give a damn about their money. You will eliminate them from your membership and you will make a public spectacle out of those member groups or member churches. To talk more about this, I have legal analyst, TYT, attorney extraordinaire, Adrienne Lawrence. Adrienne?
Thanks for having me on. Yes, so this Southern Baptist Convention, what we're really seeing is when you have oppressive structures built in and using religion as a farce, because that's essentially what's going on here. And when we look at Southern Baptist Convention, it has all of the indicia of a place that would be sexist, that would also be racist, that'd be homophobic. All of the isms seem to be active and alive there. And you can even see that by virtue of the fact that they don't allow women to be pastors. And even some hold this extremely archaic mindset that women should also maybe not even be able to do childcare or to preach in any way. It's these oppressive structures that really mirror this old school 1940s, 1950s ideology of, an us, them, the blacks go here, the whites go here, women are here, men are here hierarchy that is really a feeding ground for all of this abuse that's going on.
Yeah, and it's amazing that they claim to adhere to a doctrine of truth. The Christian Bible does say the truth shall set you free, but they pick and choose which parts of scripture they would like to adhere to, kind of like the way they do with the Constitution, right? Kind of like how they do when it comes to policy, laws, and statutes. They simply pick and choose the ones that they would like to adhere to. And I'm reminded that there was a time when the Republican Party, they held some kind of notion inside of their ranks that they were the party of law and order. But January 6th somehow did not disrupt that narrative for them. They are in fact lawless and disorderly. But why do you think, Adrienne, that the reality of who they are and what they've represented to the rest of the world seems not to stick to them?
Well, like you said, that whole pick and choose thing, it seems to be very convenient for them as the laws apply to everyone but them. And the same goes for when it comes to these quote unquote Christian principles that, oh no, those apply to others, they don't apply to us. And they're really using this as a cover, as a shield of saying, oh, we believe in these principles, yet they're engaged in this behavior that is totally the antithesis to Christianity. And they're using their whole Christianity, their evangelical ideologies as a farce, as a cover. And I'm really glad that they got exposed, even though I think we all probably knew what was going down.
Yeah, and it's quite ironic that the guy, Mike Stone, who's running for president of the convention, he does this response. And then in his response, he makes himself the victim, talking about his previous experience being abused. He then talks about how he really needs to get to taking care of his sermon, fishing with his children. And the only thing he found outrageous was the fact that Russell Moore said something about it. He didn't find it outrageous that these allegations came from the church. He didn't find it outrageous that these allegations have been substantiated by pastors of the church who have since left the denomination. He finds it outrageous that somebody had the audacity to say it. What does that say to you about the psychology of some of these religious leaders?
Well, it tells you that silence is everything. What they want is for you to obey, be that good sheep and just follow along. Do not say anything, whether it's hypocrisy, abuse, oppression that's being infiltrated and really at the core of the principles and the behaviors that are going on. And it reminds us essentially how a lot of the power structures that we have in society are not necessarily doing what they say they're going to do, where they're really just using it to bolster themselves. And I know that the Southern Baptist Convention, that they boast to have 14 million followers, but at the same time, over the last 14 years, they've been hemorrhaging followers so much. And so of course, now that these allegations come forward, people really want to pretend like it doesn't exist, because God forbid they lose additional followers, because we know that that means less money and power.
Very well said, very well said.